Hello and welcome to Talking TSM, the Game House's talk show about TSM's LCS team. I'm Robert Haynes, your host and your guide into the world of TSM. And I am back. Sorry for not having a Monday show. To explain a couple things, there's been something going on with my grandmother, and so there was just and I just gotten back from my trip on Monday, so there was just a lot on the brain, and we have hopefully what will end up being a new website coming out by the time that this is out. So I've been trying to get all that figured out, and just trying to refocus and kind of recenter, myself mentally for the month ahead, with a lot of changes coming up and a lot of things that I need to be, doing. So I do genuinely apologize for not having one episode on Monday. Again, I plan on always having two during the season, but that does mean that we're going to get an extra long episode today/Thursday, because I need to talk about the games before, and then I need to talk about the games coming up. And in the middle, as a little extra bonus, I've been doing some research, and TSM is a very weird team so far, so I'm really excited to kind of discuss why that is and why that may be good for us. So let's hop right into it. Last week, you will remember, before I left, I recorded for the preview show. And sorry, my voice is still a little shot. A lot of yelling and singing and stuff. But I felt like TL could be a game that would be good for us. And then I wrote in a piece that the Golden Guardians game could be a trap game for TSM. Sorry for those of you who don't watch the show, but listen. I was giving the eyes, like, wow. I felt pretty good, even though I predicted the exact opposite of what would happen this weekend. I still left that door open because I thought there could be a chance. And lo and behold, in game one, we see what is an aggressive, fun, solid TSM. In this game, Maple played an extremely, just really nice poking Zoe. Tactical finally looked at home a little bit more. Spica was just out of his mind. Huni played a solid top lane into a tough, Olaf for Bwipo. But the star of the match for me was Mia on the Renata Glask. The amount of team fights that he turned around with her ultimate, the amount of game-changing plays that he made, and the confidence that he had on this champion was something I haven't seen yet this year from a support, really. Even when Shinyi was at his best in the LCS, he wasn't making these kinds of plays, right? Here, Mia was just running around like a madman. Every time the TL felt like, hey, we're going to run at him, right? You just, boop. Clicked R. Didn't matter. And even bailout, I think, was used relatively effectively to help get a little extra damage out there for whoever he threw it on. And it's rare that, Core JJ actually looked kind of meh, outside of a couple nice portals, especially into the bot lane. To get tactical caught out, which he is still just. His mechanics are amazing. His map awareness and general positioning are still just so lacking. It's even in this game, which was good for him. He played well. I still felt like I don't know. It doesn't feel good. Um, so yeah, I mean, TSM just played a really clean game. We got them around the map well. We held objectives really well. We only let them get one dragon. We were able to get first tower, I believe. Yeah, we got both Rift Heralds. Like, we had control of the river pretty much the entire game, thanks to, I think, Spica's aggression and being able to kind of, be like, 007, kind of just sneaking in there and, spying on the enemy team and then coming back and relaying information. And again, Maple was just hitting some absolute bangers with the Paddle Star. It was a really good game to watch, and I did not expect us to be able to almost win, by the way, through the bot lane once the game kind of kept going, but we did, and it looked really good. And again, even for Hooney, Hooney played really well. He was able to hold his own against Whippo, and helped to get Spica an early kill. And I just, yeah, I mean, I don't know, that first play in the bottom lane, which was almost able to be a 2-for-0, ended up going not our way, or ended up going our way, but could have gone really our way. And I just felt like we were able to really push our advantage as well. And I mean, if you even watch the gold graph and everything from this game, we just had a really consistently, top level performance. And I think a lot of that has to do with comfortability and stability in this game. And you could tell Spica wanted it real bad. I mean, he was flying around the map, making plays. So, we basically had control of the game from the first minute. We were only down CS. I'm looking at the goal graph again, maybe once, and that was at 4 minutes. and then we got the first blood, and after that we were off to the races. We even gave up first dragon, and still we're able to come out on top. So really well done by TSM in this game. Again, Mia just looked so comfortable, and I was like, man, this is what this team needed. If we get a 2-0 this weekend, right, especially after handing Team Liquid their first loss, and clearly, Team Liquid, we were the first good team that Team Liquid had played yet. And yes, I know they played C9, but as a reminder, they did not have Berserker and Sven, and we all see what happened once they did. And I'm pumped, man. I mean, I was sitting here, and I'm like, I'm out of town, but I was able to watch this game. I'm like, hell yeah, let's go. This is big winnings coming in. Then we go to the Golden Guardians game. Now, I will tell you, I was kind of worried that maybe Spica was just playing really, really well with the Viego. And I was waiting for it to get banned. They did ban it. They also banned the Kalista, which is fine. I didn't worry about that. And then the Ezreal, which also didn't really care about that. I actually liked the initial idea with the Seraphine, because Seraphine is extremely strong. What I didn't really understand was, and this seems to be a bit of a trend right now, why are we saving last pick for Hooney if he's just going to play Gnar? And it's like, Hooney's also the only one that can set up the Yasuo, Mabel's Yasuo, with his ult. I don't know if the Q slam down by Spica sets it up at all either. I don't believe it does. But I mean, just looking at this comp, I don't really understand it. We don't have any way to get through Ole, And Seraphine is supposed to be able to, you know, how to put this? Like, I see what they were attempting to do, but I don't know. I think Golden Guardians just big-brained the crap out of it, you know? I mean, you have... There's not a lane where I feel comfortable that we were going to win at all. You know, I don't know why you would pick the Gnar into the Fiora. I do like the Volibear into the Xin Zhao, like, in a vacuum, but, you know, the Xin Zhao is going to get a lot more use with his ultimate, just due to the fact that you're not going to be able to layer in anything from Mia or Tactical. And, you know, again, the Yasuo pick, the two things I really had a problem with were Yasuo and Gnar. And at this point, here's what I think. I think there's one champion that actually would have maybe helped this draft a lot more, and that's Malphite. Like, if for no other reason, Malphite can instantly get onto the Senna or instantly get onto the Corki and knock them up and allow for Maple to actually jump in from range without having to try to go in himself. Like, I can't remember a time where they actually set up anything with his ultimate. And I remember thinking this, you know, when they were drafting, I was like, why? You know, I'm driving. I was sitting in a car for 6 hours in Texas driving, and I'm sitting there and I'm like, why are we not, like, if we have last pick, I even thought to myself, like, this is prime, you know, Malphite. And we even banned Ornn ourselves, which would have also been really good, honestly. But we just go with the Gnar, which is supposed to be a safe pick, but that's never gonna, like, you're never gonna win. Like, Huni almost won a couple fights into the Fiora, which, you know, shows that he's pretty good. But it looked like to me, if he didn't win that first fight, then he probably wasn't gonna win the rest of them, right? You know, if he had won the first one, then maybe he gets enough of a lead and things look a little bit better. But I mean, that was just really, really, really rough. I'll be honest with you. I did not like at all what I saw from TSM in this one. And I understand at least the bot lane part of it, and I'm fine with the Volibear, even though, and I'll talk about this here in a minute, Volibear is 0-6, I believe, in the LCS right now, which is surprising. I just wonder if people are maybe, you know, like Spica for some reason ran Divine Sunderer on him, which I don't think into this comp is very good. I think you want him to be a little tankier, honestly. You know, because, I mean, realistically, like, Maple is your damage source in this game. And it's like he's not able to be set up unless if Gnar for sure hits the ult. Now, if Gnar hits the ult, then, you know, and I'm sure in their mind, they're like, okay, Huni hits Gnar ult, you know, Maple presses R, and it's over, because then you can layer, you know, Tactical's ultimate over top of it. You can use Mia giving them the shields and the speed to get in. You know, there's a world where this works as a team comp, but not into this, where Licorice is going to beat Huni senseless again. And just like their scaling, I mean, I know the Yasuo scales pretty well, but not against a Corki and a Senna. And then who's going to get through the Mundo? I mean, that's just a brick wall that you're just never going to be able to, like, you're going to literally just have to save him for last and hope he doesn't chase your entire backline away. I mean, they could, and I think they did this if I remember correctly. I mean, you could literally just stick Mundo in a side lane along with the Fiora and just play a 1-3-1, and we have no way to match it. Like, sure, you could stick Yasuo into the Mundo lane and or, you know, I guess flip-flop it with Huni, but it just doesn't seem like that's going to be all that effective, because the mid lane is just going to get poked to death by the Corki, even despite the amounts of shields that would be coming out. So I just, it wasn't a good comp. I don't understand it. I really, really don't understand. If we're going to save counterpick for Hooney, like, why not have him play Jax or something like that, like into the viewer? I'm pretty sure Jax is a good counter as well. And again, like, if you're going to play Yasuo, if like that's the plan, then you need something to set him up with. That's why he works so well is when he's played with Diana, right? Like that's what the big combo is. I mean, hell, I would have been fine with taking Volibear top and throwing the Diana into jungle just because it just felt like they had no idea what this draft was going to be after the Seraphine and the Karma, and it just didn't work the way that it needed to. So, what could have been an amazing weekend, like what could have really put us in a great position, right? Because we're on the countdown. I'm gonna talk about this hopefully every episode if I remember to. But we are on the countdown to making playoffs, right, and making a good spot in playoffs. And right now we're only 2 games behind, which is great, but we could have been only 1 game behind the top spots, right? Because all the 3-0 teams lost this weekend, at least once. I think they all only lost once. So, and with C9, going 2-0 and on their way up, there's a lot of questions that I have about this team right now. Like we're certainly a top 5 team. I think we are currently playing gatekeeper. And we really shouldn't be losing to a team like Golden Guardians, who I believe is a bottom, at least 4, probably bottom 3 team down there with Immortals and Dignitas. I'll be having my power rankings come out either later today or tomorrow once we get the website figured out. But, I just am... I'm a little baffled. I'll be honest with you. I'm a little baffled as to why we would play against Team Liquid so well and have such a good draft and just really understand the comp we're going to run, and then we say, even Seraphine, like, in a nut, like, why not just have Mia play Seraphine and then allow Tactical to play, I don't know, like anything else that's actually going to do damage? I just, we're gonna just count this one as they just had maybe a hangover or something, like, from their big win against Team Liquid, and that's fine. Whatever, it happens. We move on, and we're 5 games in, and we're 2-3. We already have as many wins as we had through 11 games last split. So I at this point, like, excuse me, what are we going to complain about, really? I mean, 2-3 is, and there's a world, by the way, where we win this game with a better draft, I think. And not just that, but how do I put this? We should have won the 100 Thieves game, which would make them 2-3 and make us at a minimum 3-2 or 4-1, and battling for a top spot. Like, there's a world where we beat Team Liquid, right? We win this Golden Guardians game, and we also beat 100 Thieves, and then we're looking like we're in World's contention. This team looks a lot better, and there's a major reason why. So Oracle's Elixir is really, really cool, and they have found a way to add up a bunch of stats that equal out a certain number that they are calling, I think it's just Tim, so that he is calling, the early game rating. In the LCS, there is not a team with a better early game than TSM. Now, they're barely better. It's FlyQuest also throws in the mid to late game, and then CLG, who's played really well. Our mid to late game is worst, just behind FlyQuest. Okay, we are, and I was just checking this, at every position, I believe, if I remember this correctly, we are winning in lane. Hooney has a positive goal difference at 10. He is also second best in XP difference at 10 at almost 200. Okay? Then, when you go to jungle, Spica is third with a goal difference of 197. and an XP difference second, but just behind Blabber, at an XP difference of 292. Okay? We continue on. Mid lane. Maple has a 29 gold difference at 10, which is fine, whatever, he's top half. But his XP difference is second, only behind Bjergsen at 177. Okay. Continuing on. Tactical. Best gold differential in the game at AD carry, 394, with an XP difference also in first at 388. Now, it's saying he has a CS difference of 47 at 10 minutes. I feel like something's wrong there. And there's no way that he has. Well, I guess there is a way, because technically in one or two of the games, the AD carry ended up playing a support. So that might be the reason why it's so enormously high. I would say it's more likely that he still has one of the best gold differentials, because he's also left alone. And the early game in laning for him and Mia have actually been pretty strong. It's been Tactical's team fighting. And actually, we're going to talk about that here in a second as well. I still want to go one more with Mia. Mia is the only one with a really bad gold differential and really bad XP differential. But his team fighting has been pretty strong. He's middle of the pack, realistically, in terms of kill participation and top 5 in assists. So, what is the point of telling you guys all this is that this team clearly knows how to lane well together, or just knows how to lane well, right? Like, we have 3 solid lanes from top to bottom, and you have a jungler who is honestly really solid at using those leads, right? And getting leads for himself. The problem is transitioning in team fighting, which you can tell is probably because they just haven't played well together. One of the beautiful things, in my opinion, is late game especially, mid game probably not so much, but late game team fighting comes down to just knowing your teammates and being able to play well around each other. TSM are skirmishing really well right now. Their first 10 to 15-ish minutes are amongst the best in the league. And I think that is no accident. I really do believe that this team is built to be able to win through lane. I already would argue that Maple is up there, at least top 4, maybe top 3 in the mid lane. I'd have to really check here. I'd be comfortable saying top 3. Probably top 4. Jojo Pyun, Bjergsen, Takui, and Maple probably are your top 4 right now in the LCS. I know Palafox has been playing pretty well, but and Jensen will probably figure it out. But he's a top level mid laner, and you can see it in his laning phase, and that's not even what he's known for. He's more known for his team fighting. So once he gets a chance to really kind of step it up, like there's a world where he can really help this team. And I think what we're seeing right now is kind of the emergence of this team knows how to play well individually, and they're learning more how to play well together. Their one good thing, I think, is that they've been setting up really well around gank timings and different areas of the jungle. Obviously, this has a lot to do with Spica probably having a much clearer mind. It's much easier for him to trust his teammates, I'm sure. We've gotten first blood in 4 of our first 5 games. The one area we are struggling a little bit is in his first tower, but we're also one of the best in the game at first to 3 towers, which is awesome. We're solid in our plates. Herald wise, we're somehow 50-50, even though we've played 5 games. So, that's Herald rate, not first Herald. Okay, that's Herald rate. So yeah, that makes sense. So we're splitting Heralds, but we're also getting 3 out of 5 first dragons. Our dragon control percentage is over 50% at 52. We also have, pretty good just laning stats. We're one of the best teams in terms of laning overall. Our jungling is obviously one of the best as well. Like, we are, and I'm using, again, Oracle's Elixir, but like, it's clear that we have a lot of positives. And when I look, again, a lot of things I look at is where are our players ranked individually, right? And so far, Hooney's been playing, probably like 5th or 6th best top laner. Spiga's arguably the best or second best jungler. I mean, in a stacked jungler class right now. I would say probably 2nd or 3rd, maybe, just because I think Blabber's been really strong as well. I think Closer still is putting on some pretty good carry performances. Obviously, Inspired has been unbelievable as well. And then, like I said, where Maple's at, Tactical, I think, has probably been the 5th best, and I think Mia's been about 5th. And that's why we're kind of 5th right now. But, like, there's a world where, as this team gets better and plays more together, that they're going to start leveling up. And I think that's what's most exciting for me when looking at all these stats. Because the other problem that I've been noticing is we are playing champions that have very low winning percentages. Okay, so all weekend we played Gnar. Right, Gnar right now has been played in 9 games. We played 2 of them. Gnar is currently 3-6. We have one of those wins and one of those losses. A 33% win percentage, which is one of the lowest in the league, right? And then we obviously played the Rumble, which nobody else has played, and it's been relatively worthless. An area that we've been good in is playing the Viego. Viego has a 64% win percentage. Wukong is generally getting banned. It's 92% pick ban rate. So if it doesn't get banned, I would assume we would play it, but it's 62% win. But then we picked the Volibear again, right? We're also the only team to have played Jarvan. So far, both of those champions are 0-7, with Volibear being 0-6. With a 0% win percentage, guys. 0. Excuse me. Like, that's just not good. It's bad. It's real bad, right? Like we gotta either figure out what his builds are or something, because that just ain't it, Chief. In the mid lane, I think we've been a little bit better, honestly. We've been staying away from the Azir, which is great, because Azir is 3-9 on the year with getting played. I think we might have played him once, but a lot of teams are really kind of just going into him. Mid lane's been what's been most interesting, I would say. There's just been a lot of different champions. Corki is still picked abundantly, which is unfortunate. I would love to see an Ahri game from us, but LeBlanc has also been strong, which we know that Maple, one of his most played champions, is LeBlanc. So that's pretty good. We continue on here, and we head down to the 80 carry pool, right? And Ezreal's at a 50% win percentage. Senna is 50%. Lucian needs to be a much higher priority for us. We played that well. He has won 5 of 6 games when played. Surprisingly, the Twitch has not been adapted very well here in the LCS, but even the Callista, the Jinx, those are just not really working all that well. So there's a lot of champions, even, as we head to the support role here. We're not picking necessarily winning champions. Tom Kench, 38% win percentage. Let's just get rid of that champion. We're done, Yumi's only at 17%, 1 out of 6. That's pretty bad. The Karma's at a 50% win percentage, which is fine. We actually have the only win of the year on Renata. 1 for 3 so far. And I want to say maybe one of our wins was on the Alistar. I can't remember. But one of the things I will say is we're seeing a lot of different champions, which is great. But I also don't think we're picking champions that either combine well together necessarily or ones that are going to win, especially in the top lane. And, I don't know that this is Hooney's fault necessarily, because I'm sure everybody wants to be like, it's Hooney's fault, like, blah, blah, blah. Like, no, I mean, I'm sure that, like, if Chawi comes out there and says, hey, like, guys, this is what we're playing. Okay? Like, this is what we're going to do. Then I would have to think that, if they saw that it was working in scrims and stuff, that they would be able to make some changes. Now, what's interesting is Belveth will be available, I believe, this coming week. Okay? So we're going to have to see if she takes up a ban spot, which would be nice because then we can jump into the Viego. I don't think he received any significant nerfs. I'd have to check again. I could be completely wrong, but I don't remember writing about a Viego nerf. So, yeah, I really think that, like, more aggressive lanes with scaling maybe in the top lane or in the mid lane is kind of the way that we should go. Like more aggressive bot lanes specifically. I also want to see a pick like Jace coming out of Hooney. I want to see them try to play through him one time. There's a lot of versatility on this team, and there's a lot of available champions for them. And I know that Spica can play more than just Viego. It's just like, why not ride it while he's hot right now? He seems to kind of do that, and whenever the pick gets through, they first pick it, and it allows them to see a little bit more of the draft as well as they go forward. So it's a good strategy. It works pretty well, but they have to learn to, especially with these counter picks that they are getting, they have to make sure that they matter. They absolutely have to make sure that not only they matter, but that they are going to fit into the rest of the team. And learning to adapt a little bit more on the fly is just something that this team is going to have to do. And learning how to team fight is, going to be what they have to do. Hopefully they will pick champions that have better win percentage or just better combined win percentage. Like, I think this Yumi pick, I think a lot of her losses are probably with the Ezreal, which has been, again, 50-50, and then the Twitch wasn't probably used correctly. I can't remember a game where the Twitch Yumi was used yet, but I'm sure it has been. I know it's been used over in the LEC to great effect multiple times, thanks to, I believe it was XL that brought it out first. So there's a lot of available picks, and this team should never be getting completely draft gapped like they did against Golden Guardians. They should have the confidence to pick strong laners, and honestly, like, we might even want to just look at a 1-3-1. Maybe we don't need team fighting right now. Maybe we want skirmishing and side lane pressure. I wouldn't really be against that, especially with the rest of this team. So these are things that we're going to have to focus on, especially as we are heading into, and I will jump into these now, excuse me, our week 3 games. So we start off the week against the reigning champions and also the 4-1 Evil Geniuses, who just lost to CLG, who is also shockingly 4-1. That team is an enigma to me. I'm going to have to really figure out what they're doing right, because it just seems like they're doing something right. They are unleashing the top potential of their players, which TSM could use a little bit of help with, outside of Spica, who's been out of his mind so far, in my opinion. Yeah, with that, I think Evil Geniuses are definitely a beatable team, and one that has been, I think, riding the high of MSI and how well they played, instead of getting that, that little bit of burnout, probably. If there was a time for us to strike against Evil Geniuses, now was the time. Because they're coming off of their first loss of the season, right? So a little bit of a, when you stop a winning streak, there's a little bit of that mental high that is also lost, right? The confidence is maybe a little bit less than it was. Not shot, obviously, but less than it was. And this would kind of be the week, in my opinion, where you could start seeing them falter just a little bit. Not because they're bad. I think Evil Geniuses are still probably the best team in the league, honestly. But what I do like about Evil Genius, or what I do think about Evil Geniuses, is like they're going to feel burnout at some point this season. And, for their sake, NA's sake as well, I kind of hope it's now. So they can kind of work through that, because this team is just really good, top to bottom. I mean, Impact's been incredible for multiple years. I would probably make the argument that Inspired might be the best jungler in the league right now. Even with Spica playing as well as he has. Obviously, I think Inspired has a better team around him. Jojo Pune is still just an absolute beast. Even with, some of the games that he's had, I mean, it's still just very clear that he's learning a little bit more and just getting better all the time. It's crazy. Danny is obviously just an absolute animal, and Vulcan's been playing out of his mind. He has the most assists in the LCS by a pretty large margin. He's almost at 100 freaking he's almost at 100 freaking assists already, and we're only 5 games into the season. Or into the split. I mean, that is unreal. I mean, truly unreal. I believe he is averaging close to 15 assists per game right now. Let me make sure. Yeah, it's 15. I think he's just under that. I think he's at like 14.5 or something like that. Because he's got 73 through 5 games. So, I mean, that's just crazy to me how well he's been playing. And this team loves to skirmish, even when they're from behind. And I think one of the ways that we win is through our early game. We are a much better early game team than them. I don't think our laning is necessarily better than theirs, but they definitely are so aggressive that at times they leave open. They leave opportunities, open opportunities for these teams. And I think that's when you have to strike. It's going to be really important for Spica to be involved as much as possible. He's got to be roaming around the map. He's got to be picking his lanes and picking his opportunities, because they're going to give you them. But if you don't strike on them, then they're going to capitalize. Like they will absolutely take you out with, without a doubt. Now, I haven't had a chance to really study the CLG EG game yet. I imagine that from what I can remember from the highlights that I saw, it was a pretty close game that CLG just kind of pulled off near the end. Honestly, if I remember correctly, it was like they were down to even their Nexus towers maybe, and they just won like 2 fights in a row and were able to claim victories. So I think EG are just still really freaking good, and I think that they are. I think they're going to be a problem. And for us, like, we cannot have draft mistakes. That's probably my other key to the game, is you can't have very obvious draft mistakes. Now, if we are first picking and the Viego's available, I say take it. Make sure that we ban the Wukong. Do not give Inspired Wukong. I don't want to see him on that. I would even say if Viego's taken and Wukong is open for some reason, take that. I also would prefer not to see him on Belveth, especially in the first week. That feels like that could be a not fun opportunity for them. And, with Jojo Pune, he's probably going to play something aggressive. He might even bring out that Silas. That looked okay. It was interesting. He kept stealing the Alistar ult, which was, I believe that was in the CLG game. It looked, oh no, he played it pretty well. I think this would be a good opportunity for a LeBlanc game, or maybe even an Ari game from Maple. Let him, really have some lane pressure, but also the ability to roam and link up with Spica, either for 2v2 skirmishes or impacting top or bot lane. I would also say pick something safe for Huni. I would love an Ornn here. I think that it's really safe to play into Impact. It also minimizes Impact's ability to necessarily leave lane. It also sets you up, obviously, with a nice tank. And I wouldn't be against Renata something else in the bot lane, for whether it's on the attack or the defense. I think, if you're going to have the damage coming out of, Spica, Tactical, and Maple, which I think should be most of the time, then I think something like Renata with these enchanters playing really well, or even the Lucian Nami would be great into the bot lane. One thing is Danny is a little bit more passive in the early game, and we all know that he still has some laning struggles because of it. So, if you're going to find a time to strike, it's got to be then. And one of the things that TSM are going to have to do is, if we get an early lead, if we get early dragon stacking, right, we cannot let the game get to too late of a state, because one thing that EG are great at is turning things around. I let me check. I bet you they have one of the best late game ratings in the game. Yeah, they're second in late game, just barely behind Team Liquid. So that's an area where they thrive. They're still a pretty early, good early game team, but I think one of their weaknesses is probably the bot lane. They can be taken advantage of, and Vulcan is going to be aggressive. You give him something like the Rakan, like he's going to be hopping all over the place. So I want to see us really focus on trying to get a good matchup in the bot lane, give Huni something really easy for his weak side, better for team fighting, because he's really randomly struggled in team fighting. He's been better in lane, struggling in team fighting, which is a bit of a flip-flop from what he was last year. So I'd really like to see him having impact in team fights again. No pun intended. But I would also love to see us, a draft that I would really like would be Ornn, Wukong, LeBlanc, Lucian, Nami. Yeah. That sounds like a really nice draft there. That gives us a really good, that gives us good burst out of the LeBlanc. That gives us, some good survivability and good disengage from both from all the Ornn, Wukong, and the Nami. And also, the Lucian can consistently pour out damage. He can rip through things, shred through things if needed. He has his own escapes. And there's plenty of engage on that team as well. So that would be a fun comp, and one that I think you get a lane dominant bot lane there. You get a LeBlanc that can probably go even with the Lissandra, I'm assuming, or probably Lissandra is what would be picked against it, and that would work out really well for us, because again, Wukong's really strong right now. If he isn't available and Viego's available, I actually think that's even better. I'm just anticipating that he won't be available. But yeah, you can get, man, I mean, if you could just have Ornn be the beefy boy up top and allow for Spica, Tactical, and Maple to really go in and, get some assassinations and stuff. And even if they were to pick like a Seraphine, Karma, whatever, like that, who cares? You can just dive the crap out of that. Yeah, there's a lot of ways where I think a comp like that would work, especially into Evil Geniuses, who, again, I think they're vulnerable, I think, in the early game. I think once you get past, 8 minutes or so is where they start to turn it on, at least a little bit. And then if you really don't have a lead, or if you really don't capitalize on whatever lead you have at 15 minutes, then this team just turns it on, and you're in trouble. So would love to see us stacking early Drakes, playing well through lanes, and hopefully allowing for team fights to be a little bit more thought out. I am still going to pick us to lose, though, in this game. I just think, I was talking about this earlier, I just don't think our team fighting is there yet. I think in our second matchup against them, I'm going to hopefully feel a lot more confident, because by then, hopefully, we will have figured out our team fighting, our late game team fighting a little bit more, and what we want to do in the mid game. Coming up with concrete plans for it. If we do that, then I think we're a complete team that can battle at least with everybody. Whether or not we're as talented as them, I don't entirely know, but this team's definitely on the up and up, and I think this game's going to be pretty freaking close. And as long as it's not a draft gap, before the game starts, and there's a world where we can, if we take down EG and TL, then we need to be considered very heavily, in my opinion, for a world spot. If we don't this week, then that's fine. We can hopefully do it later. So, yeah, picking a loss on that one. Then comes to the Dignitas game, which I believe is also the first game of the week. Why are they keep doing that for us? They're putting us... Our schedule is very strange. Anyways, for me, I am... This just also feels like another Golden Guardians game where it's just a trap game. Dignitas are bad. They've got their one win against Immortals. Gamsu has looked pretty lost in everything other than lane. From what I've seen, like, he seemed okay in lane, but nothing special. River's trying his damnedest to do something, and nothing is happening. Blue has gone back to kind of what I expected him to be, which is pretty meh. Although Zoe's technically in the meta, so maybe that'll help him. And then Neo and Bio are, I think, good players, but the team has just really struggled to play around, especially Neo, like, at all. It's been bad all around. Their drafts have been weird. Their playing has been strange. I don't know how else to put it. Like, Bio and River and Neo yet again just look kind of like the only decent players on their team. And it's sad because I really want Gamsu to play well, just because he's such a nice guy. And watching him go from League to the Overwatch League back here is a cool story. But this is a game where if you're going to play through top lane, this is one of those games. Like, you have Huni, who is very good in lane dominant. These are the kind of games where you give him something to just pop off on, okay? I don't care if it's a Kale. Kale would be a really cool pick here. You help get him ahead, and then you just let him scale out and win the game basically by himself. You could have something that's a little bit more early mid-game focus with the Jace. That'd be fine here if he's feeling a Fiora, because she seemingly is very much in the meta right now, and you feel like you're not going to pick him into something bad, then go for that. I don't really care what it is. Give him counter pick, but make sure that the counter pick is anything other than a frickin' Gnar or an Ornn or something like that. It needs to be something where it's like, all right, we see what Gamsu has, and we're going to give Huni whatever he needs to just dominate this lane, and then Spica's just going to sit up there, and Maple's going to make his way up there, and Mia's going to make his way up there, and we're going to get both Rift Heralds. We're going to, push mid lane or whatever, and allow for Huni to just farm Gamsu at this point. And, River can try as he might. He's done it all split long. It hasn't really mattered. If they decide not to do this for some reason, then play through Maple. Maple is way better than Blue. It really shouldn't be much of a competition there. And I think that you could very easily give him, again, something like LeBlanc, the Ahri, maybe even the Zoe here, to really give him something where he can have very high impact and just play it really well. So, yeah, I'm thoroughly convinced that this is just another one of those freaking trap games that we should win, and then we somehow lose because we do something stupid. But it's hard for me to pick anything other than a win here. I just can't. Again, unless if it's a draft canyon like the Golden Guardians game was, we should be able to absolutely pub stomp this team. It should not be very close. I think Dignitas are they're at least ninth. I mean, it's kind of nice after this week. It's like, oh, Dignitas and Immortals are both kind of looking like they're going to be 8th or 9th, 10th, which is great for the rest of the league, including us. And, we have played some good games so far. We got our win against Immortals already. I think you have to take a win against Golden Guardians here. I think if we don't walk, or not Golden Guardians, excuse me, against Dignitas here, I think if we don't walk out of this weekend 3-4, at least 3-4, I'm going to be really, really worried, because 2-5 is just not a place you want to be at all. Like, it's just, that's really, really a tough position to be in, just overall. I mean, it's that, again, we're talking playoffs here. My hope is like 8 wins gets us a pretty nice spot. 9 or 10 wins especially helps. Through the first 7 games being 3-4 means you'd have to go, what? How many games are there? There's 18. So 7, still 7-4 through the rest of the split. So, which is tough, but definitely doable. I truly believe that we are a top 4 team right now. I may not be able to do that in my power rankings just because of the fact that we lost to 100 Thieves, but I really do think that it's, well, no, we probably are top 5. Oh, man. I forgot about CLG again. I keep forgetting about CLG. I think it's something in the realms of, EG, CLG, TL, C9, then us, and 100 Thieves. I think that and then maybe you could squeeze FlyQuest in there. And after that, it's just everybody else. So there just needs to be some urgency for this team this week. They can beat Evil Geniuses. They just took down Team Liquid. That is a very winnable game. It's not, they're coming off of a loss. This is the opportunity to strike, and then if they do beat Evil Geniuses, regardless, they have to win on Sunday against Dignitas. They just have to. I just can't imagine a world where we are. I can't imagine a world where we are 2-5, and in a good enough spot to make an upper tier, make I believe it's top 6 get round robin. So I don't think we're going to go for 1 or 2, which is fine. I don't care about that. But we really need to be aiming for that top 6 spot. Being 2-5 really puts that in a bit of jeopardy. Because you really can only afford to maybe lose 5 more games for the rest of the year at that point. Okay, so again, we're going to continue to do that math, guys, because this is what matters at this point. We don't. It's unfortunate because I really, really liked 27 games. I think that was just much better to really show who the better teams were. Maybe not who the best team was. We obviously weren't the best team last split, or in last summer, but we at least were a really solid regular season team. And that's kind of what matters to me sometimes, honestly. It's just like, let's make these playoffs. Let's make these top 6. Let's give ourselves the opportunity to actually make the double, the round robin or the double elimination part of it. I really do believe this team, given the right matchup, can make a bit of a nice run and give themselves the opportunity to make worlds. If we can dodge, teams like C9 and Evil Geniuses specifically, those are the 2 teams I'm probably most afraid of right now. If we can dodge both of those teams for as long as possible, then there's a world where we could upset TL or upset 100 Thieves or CLG even and make it 2 worlds. I really believe that could happen. So let's cross our fingers. Kiss your rabbit's feet, say your prayers, whatever does well for you, and let's hope that we can get a 2-0 for this weekend. So yeah. Wow. All right. Haven't done an hour-long one in a while, but I feel like we were able to get through a lot today. We've got a lot of cool things coming on. Like I said, we'll still have hot takes coming out. Basically, Thursday is going to be action-packed in terms of Thursday, Friday will be action-packed in terms of shows. We might even just release all 3 on Thursday, so you might be seeing this. Plus hot takes, plus Hard Stuck Gold. I'm recording all of them on the same day as well, so the hope is that they'll all be out on Thursday, and we'll spread them out, and then you guys will be able to have, an action-packed, super-duper fun time on Thursday. If you like this show, please take a second to like, subscribe, and comment. If you're watching on our YouTube channel, hit the bell icon so you don't miss another episode of this or, anything else. Other quick little thing here is I'm in a D&D group. We're called the campaign is called the World of Astaria. You can follow that on Twitter at Welcome to Astaria. Just take out the E. And Astaria is, I believe, spelled Astaria. Yeah, something like that. It's a fun show we've been doing for a couple years now. It's on the Game House's Twitch channel. Go give that a look. You can also look them up on YouTube. World of Astaria, and I believe also on Instagram, I want to say. That's right. So it's been a really fun campaign. The DM is amazing. He thinks of great stories. He rolls with us really well, and he does a really good job with all of his models and stuff too. So if you like D&D and you're into that sort of thing, you can see myself and other people playing every Tuesday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We normally play for about an hour and a half to 2 hours, just depending on what's going on. We will be taking next week off, but then the week after that, we will be back to start. I believe it's going to be season 5, which is craziness. So do that as well as seeing all of Hot Takes, where this week I will have to do something super not fun, and Hearts Gold, where Mike and I will be talking all things League of Legends. So. Yeah. I also want to make this the number one TSM podcast, TSM LCS specifically podcast out there. I believe we're there right now, so let's continue to do that. Please leave a review if you feel so inclined on any of those available places. Please share this with your friends. You can find the official tweet from myself or the Game House, myself being at TGH Robert Haynes, and the Game House is at TGH Esports. Also be on the lookout for the new website that is coming out. It's going to be faster than ever. Finally. You can head to thegamehouse.com. We'll have a lot of good content coming out as well there once the site's live. The new site, I should say. And with that, thanks for tuning in. The show comes out every Monday and every Thursday, most of the time, outside of small emergencies and stuff. And it's still exclusively for your TSM ear holes. I'm Robert Haynes, and this has been Talking TSM. I'll see y'all on Monday.